WNN.
The following program does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the staff, management, ownership of the station. Jay and Janine are expressing their own opinions, and such is not a substitute for psychological or mental health advice. If you are experiencing an emergency, please hang up and call 911.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Momentum Mindset Show, where we're talking everything personal development, coaching, health, and the law. I'm your host, Jay, here with co-host Janine.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Please join us on Facebook, where we can be found at the Momentum Mindset Show. And if you want to call in and be part of the show, we would love to hear from you. It's 888-565-1470. And if being on live radio is not your thing, no problem. Send us your comments and we will interact with you on Facebook.
Let's create some momentum.
Yes.
Mic open.
And welcome to the Momentum Mindset Show. I'm your host, Jay Farrow.
And I'm Janine Davis. It's a pleasure to be with you guys this Friday.
It is 5 p.m. on Friday, and y'all know what that means. We're going to take a second, because we need it. Believe me, we need it. To just move ourselves around a little bit. Again, if you're driving, don't do this, but just kind of shake it out.
Or even if you're driving, you can move your upper torso. I'm just saying.
A little shake with the drive. I like that. Well, welcome.
Welcome, everybody. So let's get up and shake.
Okay, we're shaking. Little shake, the booty.
All right.
So it's Friday afternoon. We have a great show for you. And it has been, one of those weeks. And we were picking a topic for today, and the overarching topic was authenticity, and as it relates to fear, but really being authentic. And this particular week, and the look I see on your face, and I know that I share it as well, is like one of those weeks where you just feel stunned.
Yeah, I mean, life shows up in a big way, and we all get to choose how we face adverse conditions sometimes, and how we a lot of things show up. It's a really educational time, and sometimes it's a laugh, sometimes it's not, and but it's all really good stuff. It's all really good stuff because it's what we're made of, and we get to see and we get to grow. No, it doesn't feel good, not at all.
It doesn't feel good right now. I'm just saying. For all your entrepreneurs out there, this show is for you. Because,
this is for you.
You know, for all the people that don't know where their next customer is coming from, their next dime is coming from, those who check their bank accounts before they go to the grocery store, this show is for you. Yeah. Because we've been playing all out now. For
a long time.
But let's just start for the last year, and this is my day 357. But really, for the business transformation, we've been working on that for, I would say about 9, almost going on 10 months, 10 full months of the business transformation, where this is for the law firm, the Farrow Law Firm, where we decided that we didn't like the direction that we were going with the firm. We decided to revamp everything from the computer systems to the furniture, to going through what I thought was like all of my boxes and everything else, like 10 years worth of stuff, and going through line by line, piece by piece, receipt after receipt. And then after that, deciding that, these clients that we had, some of them weren't serving us, so we decided to fire a bunch of clients. And
we decided to be discerning with who we are spending our time with and who we're working with, because ultimately it's not about just you're working for someone. You are literally partnering with that person to create a result. And so you have to you get to, at a certain point, you get to discern who's going to play in your sandbox.
No matter what business you have, that's the fundamental decision that you're going to make, and really for anything that you're up to, is like who you're going to spend your time with is who you become.
And what are you trading your life for? Because that's ultimately what it's about. We like to trivialize the fact that we're all going to work and it's just something that we do, but it's not. You're trading your hours that you can never ever get back, because time is the one thing that you cannot buy or make more of. Right? So you're actually trading your time, which is your life, for that experience. And so you know, we like to think that only very wealthy people have that discernment, but if you're ever going to create a quality of life or a life that is worth living, you get to start doing that now. And it takes a lot of courage. And it's scary, and it's worth it.
So we started talking about, on the show, we're going to get authentic, we're going to get real this week. And we want everybody to hear where we're at as entrepreneurs and people that supposedly have, you know, we're always moving. We're going through a heavy spot. It's not even. I'm not laughing too much, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, as much as you want to interpret the world as wonderful as it's going to be, the contrast that I see in my life, from even the clients that I speak to and the work that we're up to. It's just so remarkable how you can just go from you're playing in one pond and then you're playing in a completely separate pond.
So speak into that. What does that even mean? What are you talking about specifically?
I'm speaking like most of my career I've spent on, I would call, like smaller cases, smaller issues, the easy wins, not the easy so much easy win, but the low hanging fruit. In a lot of instances, but on the other side of that, I was working in some very large cases. I was working on some massive oil deals. I was representing some people that were working on some government contracts. I was working on some really exciting stuff, some exciting litigation, and you know what I started to learn throughout that is that we're all the same. When I say they're all the same, is that no matter how much money that you have, and this is through my years of experience of being an attorney and just being myself, what you think that you have, or you know, as far as assets are concerned, money is concerned, or anything else, we are all the same kids playing in this little sandbox with all the same issues going on in our heads. Yeah. Do I belong? Does that person like me? Am I too am I attractive? Am I gonna be okay? All the conversations that we had as a kid.
All of the human conversations about, will you play with me?
These
kind of things come out. And when you don't play with me, why won't you play with me?
Right. And if you stole the ball during recess,
when are you giving it back?
When are you giving it back? And if you're not going to give it back, well, I'm going to do something about it to give it back.
Right.
You know, what I'm really, you know, talking about is you know, my internal conversations with where I was, when my self-confidence years ago isn't where I am today. So the way my perspective of looking at what I'm working on.
Is it better or worse?
It's a good question, because it's shifted, but with any shift, you have your next set of challenges. I always say this, you know, I'm not looking to catch a cure for life. And what I mean by that is that I don't think that all the work that I'm doing as far as the personal development and momentum, everything else, I'm gonna walk through some door one day, and then all of a sudden I'm not gonna have those conversations come up about am I good enough? Am I worth enough? Am I enough? Mm-hmm. You know, some people I read all these comments on Facebook. It's like, oh, just love yourself. Okay, and I do, but what is that? How does that show up? We talk about this one all the time. But speaking authentically right now, it's like you have this saying, and I love yours, keep going. Keep going.
I believe that. I believe that. Even being kicked in the teeth this whole week, I got up every day and I thought, you know what, keep going. I take my own advice.
Because you're not gonna see the things show up that you think that you're gonna see.
Well, they're gonna show up. They're just gonna show up in a time that has its own idea of what the right time is. It's not, you know, in a spiritual circle, they call it God's time. And there's nothing more annoying to hear as a human being than being on God's time, because we don't want to be on God's time. We want to be on our own time. But if we pay attention, everything happens perfectly. Even the things that are unpleasant, they really happen perfectly.
So my issues tonight is it's really difficult to keep going when you don't see any of the things that you hope to see. You don't see you don't see that result. You don't see that on a daily basis of how things are actually, you know, working out. I mean, I have some pretty big cases going on right now.
Huge cases.
But I made the choice. We made the choice. Okay, I'm burning a bridge. This is something that we decided to do, and this is what we've got. We've heard this from other entrepreneurs, and so at some of the seminars, there's a concept called burning your bridge, like burning your ships. Sorry.
Yeah, burning the ships.
Don't burn.
No,
your
don't burn the
bridges.
bridge.
Burn your
burn
ships.
the ships.
and what's meant by that is that there was, and I forget the whole story, but basically there's a guy. He's going to invade the new world, with his ships, with the sailing ships, and they come over, and there's the indigenous people that are on the shore, and they kind of battle onto the shore, and then what this one captain does is he has someone go and burn the ships, because that way the people are either going to take the island or they're going to die trying.
Right.
Because there's no going
There's no
back.
turning back. Obviously, once the ships are burned, you're
And for somebody
committed.
who's lived their life with a safety net, or the appearance of a safety net, that's the first time we decided, hey, we're not gonna live with a safety net.
Yeah.
Meaning that we made a decision that we are no longer going to take X, Y, and Z type client.
Or X, Y, and Z type of cases.
X, Y, and Z.
Which traditionally were bread and butter cases. So that's really scary to have made that decision. And we've actually turned some business away, which is also scary. And you make those decisions based on where are you going? And either you're committed to where you're going or you're not. You can't always have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back because you're in no world. So we decided to plunge headfirst into a world, and it takes time to see the fruits of that labor, and
because it's so easy to go back.
The messy middle is messy, indeed.
It was so easy to say yes to what was, because getting that steady income was one of the ways that, okay, we paid our bills, but you go through this period, it's like, okay, well, it's not the next couple of weeks, or it's a tough spot. And if you've never practiced it before, if you've never practiced, this type of, okay, I'm this committed to what I want my life to look like, that I'm willing to go through the pain to get there. Yeah.
And it is pain, right? So again, this show is for entrepreneurs, because I've been both. I was an employee for 20 odd years, more probably. And so it's a different set of rules that you play by, and a different work relationship. And when things depend on you and you have to make really tough decisions, and every single decision depends on you, right? So like Jay and I discussed decision fatigue. At one point, you're just tired of making decisions because it's endless, from like buying paper towels to making
literally buying the paper towels.
Right. To what kind of other decisions you're making, for example, in litigation, strategy, this, that, and the other, how to handle this, how to handle that, the client, the this, the itch, the twitch, the marketing. It's endless, and it doesn't stop. It's certainly not a 9-to-5 thing. So in a way, as I'm saying it, I'm like, wow, that could really sound like complaint. It's beautiful. And it's difficult.
We're going to talk a little bit about the beautiful part on the other side of this break.
Yeah.
But I want to continue with this authentic conversation about being an entrepreneur, what it takes, and how scary and how scared we are right now, and what's going on. So we'll see you in a
So we'll
second.
see you on the other side of the break.
Farrow Law Firm. Are you in default with your loan modification? Has your rate adjusted? We can help. Reach out to us today and we'll put our 10 years of foreclosure defense experience to work for you. Call us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show
with Jay and Janine. Give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
And welcome back to the Momentum Mindset Show. It's Friday afternoon.
And it's real life.
Okay, welcome back everybody to the Momentum Mindset Show. And
I was picking up some popcorn that I dropped. I want to be a good guest.
This is our 21-hour-a-day stunned faces.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I walked into the studio and I said hi to Don and Freddie, and they're like, "Hello, blah blah," and I'm like, "Hello, the beaten, the battered. How are you?" You know, and it's not like this every day, but it is the life of an entrepreneur. It's challenging. AF.
When you say the life of the entrepreneur, I mean, let's talk about the authentic life of the entrepreneur, because I know that I, this week was, my human came out. Like, I had this thought that we all bite. And what I mean by that is that as human beings, you could be as spiritual as you want, but there are times where your human actually is looking to save your life. And in that case, you feel like a caged animal, and you bite when you're cornered, or you're perceived that you're cornered. I mean, there's some things that happened this week, and I came and I bit you, and I'm sorry, and I know that doesn't make up for it. That said, I'm recognizing that part of that is my limitation. I can't handle everything. What part of this entrepreneur thing is... Did you
say I can or I can't?
I can't.
Right.
I can't do it alone.
Right.
And part of this entrepreneur thing is saying I can't do it alone. Even though the conversations that run me, I'll be honest with you, is that if it's like, oh, well, if something goes wrong, say, I told you I got to handle it myself. That's my story.
Yeah, I know.
I know I can't depend on anybody because...
I'm familiar with that story.
Right. It's a story that reappears, and I recognize it as a generational story, but I can sit here and quote all kinds of spiritual stuff. I mean, I'm sorry for what happened, and this is the stuff that you're going to go through when you do the 21 hours a day. I mean, this is the things that are going to come up. I mean, and if this is the life that you want to create with abundance and structure and some discipline and a business that you own, that you get to decide how you want to live, this is the process that I don't think that you can escape. I've always said that there's no prosthetic for process. My uncle, who's a Metro Dade cop, said you can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. That's
absolutely right. And we are on quite a ride. And there are times that it's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, the things that we get to experience, the people we get to hang out with, the things that we get to do, the way we run the business. There's an incredible amount of freedom and really, really good stuff. And just like anything else in life, the suck doesn't last forever, but the suck is definitely there. And we are in the season of the suck right now. And what keeps me going is the reminding myself that it doesn't last forever and that you can't beat the ride. And if we want to be in it to be on the upside of the ride, you got to be in it when it sucks too, because that's just the way it goes. I remember Tony Robbins always saying, if you're such an amazing person, but your mom was horrible, you've got to thank her too, because she was part of making you the amazing person you are today.
Part of the journey.
It's part of the journey. And so we can't eliminate it. And again, like all of the things that have gone on this week have, it's a true, and there's some interpersonal stuff and there's some professional stuff that comes up and all kinds of things. But, it dawns on me that, I bite. You bite, everybody bites, and I'm in a very different space in the sense that, first of all, I allow myself to feel my feelings, which is very new and very uncomfortable for me, and I'm willing to go through it because it's my season to grow as a person. So it is, I'm honoring that, and at the same time, I don't lose sight of the fact that life is always happening for me. And it's teaching me something, and it's growing me. So I don't think that things are gratuitous the way I used to think about them. It doesn't minimize the hurt or the anger or whatever the feelings may be or being afraid, but it does add a other layer to the experience, which I'm very grateful for because I didn't have that tool before. I could never reach back and say I just had a feeling, and then I wanted to smush it down however way I could, but I never understood the perspective of how it was also growing me as a person, as a professional, as, a kind thing. One of the very good things that came out of this very uncomfortable week has been that our associate who works with us came in one day and she said, you know what, there's a bunch of abundance that's coming in, so we've got to make room for it. And she spearheaded a huge cleaning campaign. And I got to tell you something, I was drowning under the mountains of paper in my office, and I stayed at the office almost till midnight last night going through every single one of the papers. And when I looked at the pile and I wanted to quit, I actually coached myself through it.
Wow.
Which is really cool, because as a coach, you can actually coach yourself through it, which is a really fun concept. But I did it, and I gave myself the confidence in that sort of like shake-up to say, like, okay, this is overwhelming, and you can still do it. Don't stop. Keep going.
You know, the seminars have it, you know, where there's the entrepreneurs and the lights, and there's the success, and there's the boats, and
we made $10 million this year.
And the planes, and what we were thinking about, we talked a lot about this week, we're creating this momentum program, and it's gone through a number of iterations of what are we up to, what does it look like, when is it going to start, and the more that's filtering down, it's recognizing that this process, this what you're seeing and what you're hearing right now about what Janine and I are going through is the real stuff that you're going to go through if you're trying to create the life that you want to create. It is not like you just go to the gym for one day. It's not like you start, I don't even call it a diet anymore. It becomes a way of life. It's not, and the distinction is that there's no end to what you're up to. There's no finish line. When you get to recognize that, and that basically you might rest a part of the way. You might, start walking instead of jogging. You might crawl instead of walking. But all of that is it's that constant motion towards creation of the life that you want. Right. Because every time that I thought that, well, I'm going to get to this point and be happy, whatever it was. I'm going to get to this result and I'm going to be satisfied.
It's awesome that you mentioned that.
As soon as I get close to that that we're at that point, I was like, wait a second, there's something else in the distance there that I'm thinking about doing. Right.
Now, because we're always thinking that it's going to make us happy. Right? We're that thing, that accomplishment, or that money, or whatever. That is going to make us happy. But that's not really what happiness is. Actually, it's not a thing, and it's not something outside of us necessarily either. That's a different topic, but just wanted to mention that.
So the more that we're thinking about the program is certainly discerning who gets to be part of what we're up to, because you got to want this like you want air. Yep. You're gonna want. By the way, looking at what happened last night in the office, willing to do the things, and I'm recognizing that I know you were there past midnight. I was there till 10, and then I was down in Miami this morning at a court hearing, and I was just thinking, I rarely see the inside of that bed. It's like 4 hours a day that I'm going into the house. And what you recognize, that life becomes a constant when you don't have just your eyelids, closed for the 4 hours or 5 hours that you have. This is not, I have friends and I have family members. One in particular I'm thinking about right now, and I'm thinking about a life that doesn't involve all this. Because I thought about what happened to us the other day, and I said, you know what, is this worth it? Because we got, for where we were at, it's like, wait a second, if this stuff wasn't going on, and we weren't up to this, and it was just this comfortable type like friendship in life, I see you when I see you, we exchange pleasantries, and that's the extent of our relationship. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. Some people have that. Some people wake up, they do what they're supposed to do. They go to work from 9 to 5, they do their thing, they go home, they sit in front of the TV for their 2.2 hours and with their 2.5 kids and their 3.1 cats, and that's their life. But there's, that's okay.
It's a beautiful life too.
That's a beautiful life too. So I actually thought this week, I said, is this worth it? Is this counting my transformational days, reading the books, going here, going to seminars? I was like, what the heck were we doing back in January going to North Carolina? Like knowing the financial situation we're in right now. It's like we keep putting ourselves into this position where you feel like this pain, and this pain hurts. Crying kind of hurts. I'm talking about the tears that I have when I'm in the morning, like, and I'm thinking about what's going on, You know, and the only way I get through that is going for a couple mile, you know, jog on the treadmill at 10% incline at 7.5 miles an hour.
Pain is a context, people. It is a real thing.
But I was thinking, is it worth it? Because we were.
Is it worth it?
Because I was hurt.
What do you say?
Hurt. You know, there was a time when I would say, you know, that it's not. You know, and that's in the moment. But taking a step back and looking at it from a perspective and giving yourself time, because you're going to feel like you want to quit. You're going to feel like it's not worth it. You're going to feel all these things. But then recognizing, like, you look around, it's like, oh, wow, you know, I saw The Office last night. I saw what The Office looked like. And I saw it was in excellence. And I saw how beautiful the place was. It was glowing. For the first time, I've had my office open for almost 11 years, and it was glowing last night. And I was proud. I actually was excited to get to work this morning just to walk through the doors and see it. I was so, and it's like one of those moments. It's like, wow, look at where I get to go to work. That's how I felt. So as we're, you know, talking about this authenticity, you know, I felt like a schmuck. You know, I really did, about like how I was walking around the office thinking about whatever it was. And again, things happen in the moment, and you feel what you feel in the moment, and then you take a step back and you recognize, okay, do I owe someone an apology? If I do, say it, mean it, process it, do my best in the future. You know, but when I saw that office and I saw what we have created in the last 10 months, I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. Well, listen, it's an honor, and it is definitely not only a professional labor of love, but it's a personal labor of love, because I want to build an extraordinary life. And you've been generous enough to allow the space for that in the context of the law firm. And then, you know, of course, my coaching and different things that I've got going on, and the personal development program. So it's a fantastic thing. And yeah, it's hard. There are moments that I think, oh my God, why don't I just go work for someone, let them pay me 6 figures, and, you know, I got my weekend, you know. But, you know, when you're called to do something bigger than your wildest dreams, then, you know, you get to do it. And listen, you play with fire, you get burned, and that's just the way it goes. And so I definitely have that perspective, and a courageous thing. I think that I have a lot of fire and bravery in me. I take a lot of things that most people I know would never. And I walk into a lot of really situations that most people would never. I don't bet at the casino, but I definitely bet on life.
Well, one of the things that happened this week is we got clear with exactly what we were going the direction with the firm. You know, that we're supporting entrepreneurs to settle private
business owners,
private business disputes, and it's something that, you know, we have all the connections to support somebody. You know, as far as what we're seeing. You know what's funny? What we're seeing, and we'll talk about this on the other side of this break, of what we're seeing with entrepreneurs and how they operate.
Yeah, it's interesting, and this goes into the human aspect of absolutely everything. Doesn't matter how successful you are, doesn't matter how much money you are, the human always shows up. So we'll talk more about that on the other side of the break.
Farrow Law Firm. Are you in default with your loan modification? Has your rate adjusted? We can help. Reach out to us today and we'll put our 10 years of foreclosure defense experience to work for you. Call us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show
with Jay and Janine. Give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
And welcome back once again to the Momentum Mindset Show. I want to remind all of our viewers that we do have a telephone line.
We do. Please call. We'd love to hear from you.
888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470.
Jay and I are really open to hearing other people's voices on the show, too.
Other people's problems as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's nothing that helps but hearing about somebody else's issue and problems.
Yeah, there's the concept of the tree of sorrows. Like if you had to put your sorrows on the tree and then you looked at everybody else's, you would undoubtedly pick your own back up.
Talking about the entrepreneurs that have come into our space and what they go through on a daily basis, I mean, the things that we've seen and we're supporting, I mean, you'd be shocked with some of the things that end up happening with and it's all relationships. Mm-hmm. Forget about the money. The money never matters. The money, it's because the money, whether you're fighting over $1,000 or $10 million, the feelings are the same.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, and
that's really what you're fighting over. The feelings.
Interesting, action-packed legal battle I've ever seen in my entire career happened in small claims court. And it was
in front of Judge Judy?
It was two lawyers going at it. They were screaming at each other.
Yeah.
The bailiff had to break them up like a few times during the thing. And the judge had a little card in front saying civility, nothing less will be than that would be tolerated. And they're just going at it. And I've been in federal court. I've been in in federal appellate court, and where everything's very direct and everything else. But this was over. I think it was $1,100, $1,200, the most action-packed. Because it's the feelings about getting ripped off.
Exactly.
It's the feelings. When you work so hard, it doesn't matter how much, if you get ripped off or someone does something to a piece of your property,
right.
Guess what?
Someone disrespects you. I think that for a lot of an underlying theme that I see is that people are just incensed that they were so disrespected.
Right.
That people that actually thought that they could get away with not paying them, not answering an email, all of these things. It comes back to people want to feel like they matter.
I will share with you to the extent that I can. I mean, where yes, you feel disrespected, you were certainly wronged.
Yes. And
you have the resources to make things right. I've seen people go to literally the ends of the earth to show the other side that what's what. Where I come in and what I attempt to do is to say, okay, well, that's all well and good. But how is that going to work out for you a little bit later down the line? I wrote about this on Facebook last night, and it was part about the reason what you and I were going through. Okay, and it was part of being right costs.
Oh my God!
Every single time, more than you think.
Yeah.
Okay, being right in court, being right in your relationship, being right. Period.
Being right got me divorced.
It's how you think yourself, how important is it, okay? Because when you're being right, you don't recognize the prices that other people pay for being right. I have some cases where because someone's being right, family members are affected. Mm-hmm. Because of them being right about how they have it, about a certain scenario, I mean, there's other people that are going to literally suffer financially and other types of hardships because the person that's at the top is oh, well, it's so indignant about something.
Right. Our arrogance sometimes as human beings, we get so carried away with being right that, it's destructive.
I was right this week. That's what I was writing about last night on Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, I preach it to my clients, and I get to take my own medicine here. And I noticed it last night on Facebook. I said, you know what? Being right about the scenario, and I had all my conversations, and I had all my boxes checked. Jay's right. Jay's right. Jay's right. Jay's right.
And that's also perspective, right? Because
because there's no column for Jay's wrong, so it's just Jay's right.
Caller Dawn.
So
you have a caller?
We have a caller?
Do we have a caller? I don't know. Okay, is there someone on the line? Okay, well, if not, okay, so Jay's right, okay? Let's go back to the important stuff.
Exactly.
Yes, they have a caller named Dawn.
Hello? Caller named Dawn.
Yay.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Dawn.
Hello,
Welcome
Dawn.
to the show. Hello?
Hello.
Hello,
Hey, Dawn, how are you? Where are you calling from?
outside.
Where?
Is this Jay?
This is Jay.
Hello. My
Hi.
real name is
I-
Nathan.
Oh, okay. I think it's Nene.
Is it Nene?
How you doing?
I feel.
Hi,
Hi.
Nene. How are you?
I'm fine.
We can't really hear you though. How can we help you?
Do you have a question for us, Nene?
I'm fine.
You're fine? Okay,
Okay.
well, that's awesome.
Okay, so do you have a question for us today?
Too bad.
What, love?
What was the big
Please say that again.
decision?
Oh, the big decision. Okay, I know what she's asking. Okay, so I'll take it from here. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I have a big decision to make in one of my cases that we're talking about having the fatigue.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a big decision to handle with one of my clients today, and I decided to handle it in a how do I say this? I decided to take a step back and look at my entire case again from a different perspective. But I can't really get too much into the actual details.
Right.
But you want to talk? Okay, you want to talk about this? Okay, because of my shift in perspective, because of the way that I was looking at things, because I have this case, and without going into too many details, I have a couple people that are on top of this particular situation on the other side that basically did a bunch of things that they shouldn't have done. Period. Then they told somebody that they weren't going to do anything about it, and said, you know, what they said to that person. But basically, I said, you know what? They're suffering from the same thing that I am, and they don't see it.
I have to be right-itis?
I have to be right-itis. They don't see it yet, but the consequences for them, you want to talk about this, the consequences is there's a family member that's involved in this that could lose like her entire like life and career and otherwise because of the way these people acted.
Right.
I mean, no joke. I mean, this is like such a serious consequence. And if I were to make a move like I was going to, which I was going to do, this would have been a major issue.
Nene, Nene, thank you. Okay. Thank you so much for asking the question. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah. So that was the major decision, is that I had a choice last night to do something, and that I could have done. That once it's out there, and there's no undoing like what I was about to do. And what I recognize is that, wait a second, these other people are suffering from I'm right-itis. I like how you put that. And I just said, well, let me see if there's another way to go about this, because the consequences on the other side are so intense.
Yeah, indeed they are. Indeed they are. And, you know, again, everyone is always playing we don't realize we're playing a chess game, but we are, with our decisions and our lack of decisions sometimes, and all kinds of different things.
But just taking a step back, taking a few minutes like I did. Because I hope
I think we have a question.
You have a comment actually from Kimmy Ann Rose. She says, Jay, it can be Jay only needs awareness column, not the wrong column.
Ah, that is a great point. Thank you, Kimmy Ann.
Kimmy, thank you for that. Because I am going through quite a bit of a learning curve this week. And I think that everybody can see, as this show has gone on thus far, there's some pretty major stuff that's happened this week. Both in what I've had to do or not do with respect to filing a lawsuit or not filing a lawsuit, with us, with finances, with the way the circumstances have laid out, with issues with family. You know that this happened with my family. This is like last week. I went to a birthday party at my parents' house. And there were some things that came up for me at that particular thing.
Yeah.
Which set my week off a bit.
Yeah.
You know? So it's not just one thing.
I don't think it's ever really one thing, right? It's the compounding of things that really can put us into a
Tailspin?
Yeah. A tailspin. And
I'm so pleased with how we're talking about this way. Because when we were talking about, like, what were we talking about? We said one word: authenticity. You know, what is it about? What am I going through? What are you going through? Because the way that we walked out of the office last night, I mean, you know, it's not one of those things that I don't want that to happen anymore. I mean, but do whatever I can to see that doesn't.
Right.
Just getting real. It's like, because none of this matters. The whatever you want to call it, the win, getting to the summit, the money, the whatever it is, the celebration. It's none of that's worth it if it's tainted by this. I got it by being a schmuck. In other words, I knew better, didn't act better, and I got it anyway. And there's just I don't see a win in that. I don't see a win in that if it's not part of the team. That's just how I felt.
Yeah. Well, yes. I think I'm still processing, actually, being authentic and real. I'm still processing. My experience of the week left me in a place where I'm still processing everything that went on. So one of the things that I am very grateful for is that I do have this new perspective of life is always happening for me, and what can I learn from it, and how can I grow. And I am someone who is known to be as a Little Miss Sunshine, and guess what? I get to also be in a place where there are clouds out and I don't feel so sunny, and that's okay too. And that's a new experience for me, and it's a new experience to share it and to show it, and to, I always found other ways to not be in my feelings about it. I was very successful at doing that for 40-odd something years, but that has very dire consequences as well. And so I don't do that anymore. But yeah, a lot of things went on where I could see, you're not the only one who could certainly improve upon certain things and perspective and learn, and I'm very much aware of that. And still very much processing, because it was a lot. It was really a lot.
I'm processing as well. I would like to address something that I think Freddie was asking a question during the break about. Yeah, about
really good question.
When you get to a place like this, what goes on? What keeps you going? I want to talk about this on the other side of this last break. How do you pick yourself up and dust yourself off and get through that next couple of seconds, couple of minutes next day? So we'll see you right on the other side of this break.
Farrow Law Firm. Are you in default with your loan modification? Has your rate adjusted? We can help. Reach out to us today and we'll put our 10 years of foreclosure defense experience to work for you. Call us at 954-252-9818, online at farrowlawfirm.com, and on Facebook at Farrow Law Firm.
You've been listening to the Momentum Mindset Show
with Jay and Janine. Give us a call at 888-565-1470. And now back to the show.
And welcome back to the Momentum Mindset Show, Friday afternoon, March the 1st. I can't.
I'm having difficulties.
I know.
Where did February go? Every February, I'm going to share this with y'all. Every February, no joke, I feel gypped. Where are my other 2 days?
Oh, I think.
Where's the 29th and 30th?
No.
It bothers me. It's bothered me since I'm a kid. No.
February skips by because my brother's birthday. Brian, happy birthday. My dad's birthday.
Happy birthday, Brian. Happy birthday, Steve.
And my nephew Jonah's birthday's coming up on the 11th, or the 12th.
Cutie.
It goes by quick. We were talking about before we went to the break about what happens when you get to a place like this. When we walk into the show, I have a little bit more of energy now, but when I walked in here, it's like one of those moments. It's like you feel like, well, what's this all doing? What's the purpose of this? We were talking to Freddie on this break a bit about some people don't feel like they have anybody to go to. Even calling into this show is a big deal.
Right.
Even writing something on Facebook's a big deal to say, hey, I'm
Right.
not doing so well. I've had this feedback before where people send me a direct message saying, I can't share on your page.
Yeah.
Because someone else is going to see me, and I'm afraid
Right.
that someone else is going to know that I have this going on with me.
Right.
I've
Right.
talked to people about some seminars that are on direct messages, and the same thing. Their family member would be upset with them if they were to go to a seminar, if they were to ask questions or whatever. Be known that they're actually seeking answers, because there's a person that might be looking for some help.
Yeah.
But the person that they're seeking the help from, if they find out about it, it's like, oh, that's the issue. Like if you have a husband and wife, and the husband's like the one that's going through like the issue, and the wife's looking for some answers. If the husband finds out about it, and I'm getting like direct messages, not just one, but from several, about if he finds out that I'm like, not, looking for a seminar or looking for a book or something else like that. It's an interesting comment. Like, what do you do to get back up on your horse from where we're sitting right now? I go for a walk. I go to the gym. I read something from a book. I go for ice cream. That's like my go-to.
Oh yeah, ice cream is a big
I
remedy
will do
for the
anything
soul.
just to get myself away from the situation and then come back to it. Okay.
Right.
But I'll give myself a break. I start with that. I didn't do that when I started this transformational journey. I'll tell you that. For like first 4 months, I weighed every single vegetable. I every single ounce of every single thing. I weighed and made sure that everything was absolutely. I didn't give myself an inch of when I woke up, and if I did, I would just really be hard on myself. But it's a thing. Like, where do you start? Where do you restart when you've had a week like this? When you just don't see. When you don't see the bank account. When you don't see that things are going to be okay. When you know that it was rough on everybody that was in the office, and you know that you still feel like you're right, because I do.
Well, that's news.
I mean, I know that I'm
okay. That's not news. Like,
no, but I'm saying that on some parts of it, I was like, well, wait, I have a point. And I'm not saying that serves anybody, but I'd be lying to you if I said if it went away. I mean, come on. I mean,
because you know that I know you for a while, right? I never thought you caught a cure for your I'm right-itis.
But I started to laugh at myself. That's what I started to do. I know what happened. My cell phone stopped working, and then something else happened in the gym. It was like 14 things in a row that I counted that were just like, and when you send a text and the text doesn't go through.
Yeah,
that was
spinning.
that was number 14.
That's so annoying.
That was number 14, and I just laughed. I'm like, because has to be funny. Because all of these things that just happened in a row was in the morning, and it was just one thing after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, and I was like, okay, and I just started to laugh.
Right. So, but also getting back to the question a little bit more to what Freddie was saying is that, and Dawn brought up, which is, you guys have all these personal development tools, and you are an attorney. You have what about the people who don't have any of these things or whatever to lean back on? How can they pick themselves up and get past it? And that's an excellent question. And I think back to before I had any of these tools, what I used to do. And sometimes it was just simply self-care. Sometimes it was just, and back then my self-care was hanging out and watching Netflix and having oodles of noodles, which is like my most indulgent meal, and different things like that. And just sort of like nurturing myself as best as I knew how at any given time. And again, I've always had that voice of keep going. Always, if I think about it. Just quitting was never an option for me.
I'm not talking about it. I know what he's saying, and I tell you what. If I was giving advice, which I don't do, but if I was, I'd be like, get out and just start running. Go out and just
physically running?
Physically running.
What if you're not a runner?
Okay, running or just moving your body, and so put your body in motion somehow, some way. Because within 30 seconds to a minute of you putting your body in motion, you're going to start to feel better.
That's true. That's science, people. It's not opinion. It's
if
science.
I'm speaking authentically, if I get down on myself about something, I'll drink a glass of water. Why? Because I know by drinking that glass of water that's going to do X, Y, and Z to my body as far as giving it nutrients, hydrating it. I'm like, okay, I just took my first step. Taking your first step into getting back on track, and then celebrating that first win.
Right.
And doing the next thing. And that's why I said moving your body in a productive way is the one thing about getting out of your rut. Here's the other thing. Call somebody.
Yeah.
Text somebody. reach out to have a conversation with any other human being, and I guarantee you, you will find somebody and you will feel better. That is the one way, aside from anything else, that you can do. And if you can't, journal. Okay?
Yeah.
And then if you don't have a pen and paper, just have a conversation with yourself in your head and pretend that the other person is a supportive, nurturing human being. Because I've done that before too.
Yeah.
And if you can't find another person in your head, then, if you're spiritual, talk to God. If you don't believe in God, make one up. But nothing I have found to be more supportive to get me off my keister and back into the game of life is having a conversation with somebody.
Right.
And if you think that people aren't going to listen, there are people out there to listen. There's people out there to text. There's so many different ways that you can have a communication.
Right. This narrative that we're all alone all the time. And I would say few instances it's actually true. I think that we're just so much more accustomed. Well, it is and it's not, but if it's not really true for you, then reach out to somebody.
It's brave.
Reach out to anybody.
Because it does take courage to make that phone call.
Right.
I understand that, but the way what you're going to feel like in a few minutes, you're going to feel like you're back on track. You're going to feel like you got a little bit of something, and you're going to find exactly what you need.
You're feeling bad, even for a moment, and that gives you another breath to keep going.
I have a dog.
Yeah, I have to say.
I was just thinking about it, like, okay, well, Pat's like, I got to tell you, when I'm really feeling like, down in the dumps, that dog, Mitchell,
Well, yesterday, as you mentioned in the show, was really, really a very tough day, and I was feeling really not so good. And Mitchell was with me at the office till really late at night, and I walked out to the foyer, and sure enough, there was Mitchell laying down, his feet up in the air, and he made me in that moment so happy. I took pictures of it because I'm like, it is so good to be Mitchell Farrow. Oh my God, how amazing. And it's true, animals and pets and that loving sort of connection you have with them breathes life back into you.
I've had a lot of conversations with Mitchell.
Oh my gosh, I've had a lot of
those conversations. Like, Mitchell, I think I really screwed this one up. I don't know if there's any coming back from that. He's getting this look. It's like, well, it wasn't bad as yesterday. It's just like anything that you can think of, and be creative to just get yourself and moving again.
Right.
This was a tough week, you know, and
just remember, the suck doesn't last forever.
Well, I love your saying about keep going. Because it's so simple and it's so spot on. It's that one next step. It's that one thing to go. And I always think about my goals. Like, I think about Everest, and I have now figured that I have a number of Everests in my life that I want to achieve. Sure. So I pick one and I think about it. How wonderful is it going to feel when I have that thing in my life, when I have that relationship with my dreams, when I have that goal for the business, and there's nothing that makes me feel better to know that I'm still chasing the mountain.
Yeah,
I'm still in the game.
Yes, still in the game.
I'm still fired up, and I have a choice and a chance right in this moment to make it whatever I want it to. Is it difficult to start talking to yourself like that? Absolutely. Is it something that
does it feel weird at first? Yeah.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's okay, because like anything else, you get used to it.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. I mean, here I am admitting on national tape radio that I was coaching myself. Good Lord. It happens.
But it works.
And it works.
Oh, and you know what I do too? Is I'll say, you know what? You are right, Jay. You know what? I'll just call myself out. And you know what? Because it feels pretty good to be right. And just stand there.
I have to say, when you wonder why certain people are in your life, it's like, how many extensions of my family did I create? Wait, Dad? My brother? Even my 17-year-old niece? Hello? Unbelievable.
No, and it's a good point. And we've had so much fun, on this show.
Yeah.
And what I love is the fact that we didn't have one conversation about coming in here and just telling everybody that we didn't have the best week, and that we've gone through some pain this week. And
Thank
and it wasn't even a conversation. It's like, we're going to be authentic.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about authenticity. We're going to talk about being the entrepreneur.
Even at the risk of it being like, wah, wah.
Why? Because it's our show. And guess what? And I want everybody
It's our party and we'll cry if we want to.
and the thing is, your life is your show too, and you get to do these kinds of things too, because it feels good to be authentic. It feels good to get it off your chest. I know I feel 100% better than I felt when I walked in here, after
do
the
too.
the car ride with that
Jay
one.
gets to live another day, people.
It's just isn't that wonderful? We didn't even have a conversation. It was like, you know what? I'm just going to lay it down the line. This is
Yeah.
our show. And guess what? You know what? I think it went very, very well.
If we do say so ourselves.
If we do
Which
say
is
so,
so funny, but okay.
No, because I was going to set something up because I'm being right about something else. So.
Jay, how long is that scorecard?
I even thought about it. If I was ever going to get a tattoo,
It would be that.
I'll see you next
Thank you
week.
guys. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and keep going.
And we are stronger together.
Absolutely.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Momentum Mindset Show. For your hosts, Jay and Janine, we'll see you here next week. Thank you for being real, authentic, and honest.
If you'd like to reach us, please contact us on our Facebook page, The Momentum Mindset Show, or on our office phone line, which is 954-559-6987.
We are stronger together.
And remember, keep going.